Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Gopi Jana Ballabha Giribharatari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Giribharatari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Gopi Jana Ballabha Giribharatari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Giribharatari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda. Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna. Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Gopi Jana Ballabha Giribharatari. Gopi Jana Ballabha. Gopi Jana Ballabha Giribharatari. Gopi Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda. Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna. Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnupad Paramahamsa Hari Prajakacharya Ashto Tarasata Shri Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ISKCON BBD Founder-Acharya Save the whole world Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Vishnu Vishnupad Paramahamsa Hari Prajakacharya Ashto Tarasata Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki. What verse? Ananta Koti. Huh? Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki. Namacharya Sharaya Stakuriki, Premsakahola Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki, Sri Radha Krishna Gokavada, Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki, Braj Bhumi Shivindama Ki, Navdip Mai Purdama Ki, Purusham Chetra Jaganapurdama Ki, Ganga Mai Ki, Jamuna Mai Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Tulasi Maharani Ki, Samaveta Bhaktivedanta Ki, Jai Nitai Go Premanandi, all glories to somebody's, all glories to somebody's, all glories to somebody's, all glories, all glories, all glories, to Sri Guru and Sri Garanga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I wasn't expecting to give class today, so I haven't prepared. So I'll do my best. Sa Vidashyati Te Kaman Savidashyati Te Kaman Savidashyati Te Kaman Hari Dinanukampana Hari Dinanukampana Hari Dinanukampana Savidashyati Te Kaman Hari Dinanukampana Amoga Bhagavad Bhakti Amoga Bhagavad Bhakti Amoga Bhagavad Bhakti Nitareti Mati Mama Netareti Mati Mama Netareti Mati Mama Amoga Bhagavad Bhakti Netareti Mati Mama Savidashyati Te Kaman Hari Dinanukampana Amoga Bhagavad Bhakti Netareti Mati Mama Savidashyati Te Kaman Hari Dinanukampana Amoga Bhagavad Bhakti Netareti Mati Mama. Sa, he, Vasudev. Vedashyati will undoubtedly fulfill. Te, your Kaman, desires. Hare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dina, unto the poor. Anukampana, very merciful. This word Dina Anukampana is very significant. This is one of the names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's very merciful to the poor or to the fallen. And this helps us to understand also that if one's interested in wealth, in fame, then this is not a very conducive for the process of bhakti. And we see that even Kunti in her prayers, she prays that, my Lord, you're very easily approached. But to those who are materially exhausted, that one who's interested to improve themselves in terms of material wealth, in terms of fame, beauty, knowledge, you cannot approach Krishna very easily, because it means you're actually interested in something in this material world, and there's nothing in this material world that is really that interesting. So anyone who wants to improve themselves materially, they find it very difficult to approach Krishna. And actually, they find it really difficult to accept even God's reality. You'll see that many of them may go to church, but it's more of a social convention rather than, a process of surrender. They do it because their friends do it, because their family did it, whatever. But their intention is not to renounce this material world and to develop a loving relationship with Krishna. Their intention is more about improving themselves materially. And we see even in some religions, they go to church and they pray for material improvement. Give me this, give me that. It's quite common. Both within Christianity, also in Hinduism, etc., that they pray for material facility rather than to become a better devotee of the Lord. Amokha, infallible. Bhagavad Bhakti, devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Na, not. Ittara, anything but Bhagavad Bhakti. Iti, thus. Mati, opinion. Mama, my. Translation by Śrīmad Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very merciful to the poor, will fulfill all your desires. For devotional service unto Him is infallible. Any method other than devotional service is useless. That is my opinion. Responsively, please. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very merciful to the poor, will fulfill all your desires. For devotional service unto Him is infallible. Any method other than devotional service is useless. That is my opinion. So we see here how Kashyapa is continuing his instructions to Aditi, and now he's instructing her in the process of devotional service. And why? Because she's after some material facility. She wants to see that Bali Maharaj and all his cohorts are kicked out of the heavenly planets, and that her children, the Devatas, are restored to their original position. And as I was describing a few days ago, the main reason she wants to do that is because she benefits from them being in that position. She finds that, she gets a comfortable lifestyle. And you'll see it's quite often the case we see with Dhritarashtra. He wasn't actually the king, his son was the king, but he felt great satisfaction, because he was offered respect, because he was the grandsire of the king, etc., of the kingdom, etc. And so we see the same here for a deity. If her sons are in a glorious position, it's the same as her being in a glorious position, because they get worship, she gets worship. And of course the mother is always desiring to see the welfare of the children. Srila Prabhupada's purport. There are three kinds of men who are called akama, mokshakama, and sarvakama. One who tries to get liberation from this material world is called mokshakama. One who wants to enjoy this material world to its fullest extent is called sarvakama. And one who has fulfilled all his desires and has no further material desires is called akama. A bhakta has no desire. Sarvapadi vinir muktan tat padatwena nimalam. He is purified and freed from all material desires. The mokshakami wants to achieve liberation by merging into the existence of the Supreme Brahman. And because of this desire to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is not yet pure. And those who want liberation are impure. It's interesting how Prabhupada is saying that even that they want liberation, they're still not pure, because they want something. They want some gain, some benefit. So even, if we're approaching Krishna for liberation, this is not pure. And there's an interesting verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where it says, Krishna Bhakta Niskama Ata Eva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Sakaliya Shanti. So the bhuktis, the muktis, the siddhis. Those who are after enjoyment, bhukti. Mukti, those who are after liberation. Siddhi, those who are after perfection. Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami, they're lusty. Sakali Ashanta, then they can't be peaceful. But it says Krishna Bhakta Niskama Ata Eva Shanta. The devotee of Krishna has no material desire, because even the desire for liberation, even the desire for material perfections, these are still material desires. They're not aimed at pleasing Krishna. And that's the only aim of the devotee, is the devotee wants to please Krishna. Therefore, he becomes peaceful. And Krishna makes the same point in the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Bhaktirang yagatapasam sarvalok maheshram suridam sarvabhutama yatfamam shantim richati. The one who understands that I'm the supreme friend, I'm the proprietor, I'm the enjoyer, knowing me in this way, he says, such a person attains peace. So if we understand Krishna's position, and if our endeavor is simply to satisfy Krishna, we'll know peace. Anyone else will never know peace, because they're always endeavoring for some perfection, for some achievement in this material world. And even if you get these various achievements, because the nature of these achievements is they're temporary, whatever you get is temporary. Whether it's, you get fabulous wealth, you get a nice house, you get a nice car, you get a beautiful body. Anything, you think of anything that anyone aspires for in this material world, it's all temporary. It has a beginning, it has an end. And therefore, because it says in the Gita, dukkhalayam ashashvatam, because things are by nature temporary, they also bring dukkha, they bring misery, because you get the thing you're aspiring for, whatever it is, nice car, nice house, nice wife. How long does it last? Nice body. How long does it last? It's all temporary. It all has a use-by date. Everything wears out in this material world. You can have the nicest house, like all these houses around here in Old Park. The nicest house. But how long do they last? 20, 30 years? And then you have to rebuild them. Or you have a nice car, you get yourself a brand new Mercedes-Benz. How long does it last? It's all temporary. And therefore, they bring misery in one level or another. So a devotee of Krishna, he's not interested in these things because he knows. So it's not, of course we utilize these things in Krishna's service, but it's not our aspiration to achieve material facility. We don't think this is the goal of life. There's an interesting song some devotee band wrote years ago. Name, fame, glory. It's the same story. You get your name up in lights, you think it's the perfection of life. And this is the aspiration in this material world is people are looking for name, fame, glory, profit, distinction, adoration. These are the things that people aspire for in life, and when they get them, they think it's the perfection. But if they'd actually achieved the perfection, why do they still aspire for more? If someone was like someone who's fabulously wealthy, if they were happy with that, why do they want more wealth? Why can't they just be satisfied with whatever they have? And you'll see that rich people, they're always aspiring to achieve more and more wealth. Interesting statistic, or not a statistic so much, but a fact. I'm sure you've all received these scam emails and text messages and stuff where they're saying, if you deposit $50 into, congratulations, you've just inherited millions of dollars from a long lost relative, and all you have to do is deposit $50 in this account in some strange country in Somalia or somewhere like that, and we'll be able to release the money. I mean, who ever heard of such a stupid thing? It's like you have to pay money to get money, from an inheritance. It doesn't work like that. But people fall for these things, and they send off their money. And a few years ago, I was reading a news article. It was by the police commissioner of New South Wales, and he was explaining that the people who fall for this the most are wealthy people, because their lust for wealth is so great that they think, oh yeah, if I pay this money, I can get some more money. They don't even stop to think that it's a scam. Practically speaking, as soon as you see a phone number on your phone you don't recognize, there's a good chance it's a scam. And sometimes there might be someone else, but usually it's a scam. And so, I know Annie Ruderbu often says, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah? Unless, someone's going to give you $1 million, someone you never heard of is going to give you $1 million or $5 or $10 million. No, not going to happen. But people fall for these things all the time because they have this lust for money. The Mokshakami wants to achieve liberation by merging into the existence of the Supreme Brahman, and because of this desire to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is not yet pure. Even those who want liberation, even those who want, because we hear of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and people think that moksha is the supreme goal. They think this is the aspiration, is to achieve moksha. But Prabhupada's saying here that they have material desires because they want something. But Lord Chaitanya explains that the fifth, what they call it, pramata, the fifth goal, prema pamato mahan. The supreme goal, prema, is to achieve love of Godhead. And this is the thing to aspire for, is to achieve this love of Godhead. And this love of Godhead is not, the love of Godhead that the devotee aspires for, is not mixed with some other desire. Not mixed with some, I'll love you if you give me some money. I'll love you if you give me a nice house, a nice car. No. I just love you because I love you, for no other reason. And we see this is epitomized by the residents of Vrindavan, how they have this love for Krishna, but it's not motivated by anything else. Not that Krishna is paying them to love him or anything like that. They just love Krishna because he's Krishna, because he's so beautiful, because he's so wonderful. And since those who want liberation are impure, what to speak of kamis? What to speak of the kamis who have so many desires to fulfill? Nonetheless, the Shastra says, Akama savakama va mokshakama udaradihi tibrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. This is from the Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Kashyapa Muni saw that his wife Aditi had some material desires for the welfare of her sons, but still he advised her to render devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, everyone, regardless of whether he's a kami, a jnani, a yogi, or a bhakti, everyone, regardless of whether he is a kami, jnani, yogi, or bhakta, should invariably take shelter of the lotus feet of Vasudeva and render transcendental loving service to him, so that all his desires will be duly fulfilled. And we see this is the same in the pastime of of Dhruva Maharaj. We know that Dhruva, he was the son of Uttanapad, and his mother was not the favorite queen, and his stepmother was the favorite queen. One time he tried to sit on the lap of his father. His father wasn't interested in that, and his stepmother said, if you want to sit on the lap of the king, you'll have to take birth from my womb. And he was deeply insulted by this. So he was crying, and he went to see his mother, and he's saying, I want to get a kingdom. I want to be, I want to see these people destroyed. My father, my stepmother, I want to see them destroyed. And so his mother advised him to take shelter of the Lord. And so then he went to the forest, and he took shelter of the Lord. He chanted this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, for not very long. I think it was 3 months, 6 months, something like that. It wasn't very long. And because of his determination, he was able to... Actually, what happened was Narad Muni came and advised him to chant this mantra. It was an interesting story because he went to the forest as a young, just a 5-year-old boy, and Narad Muni heard about his determination, so he came there to see him and encourage him to go back home because the forest is a dangerous place. And essentially, Dhruva Maharaj said to Narad Muni, if you're afraid of the tigers and animals, you go back home. I'm staying here. I'm going to find God. So, seeing his determination, Narad Muni gave him the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, and instructed him how to chant that mantra. Also instructed him to worship the deity in the forest, etc. And so we see that eventually he had the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's a book called not the Hare Bangsa, what is it? I can't remember. There it is. There's a book that describes some of the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj. And when he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I don't remember the whole verse, but Prabhupada quotes quite a lot, Swami Kritatosmi, where it explains how, I was actually aspiring after broken pieces of glass, but now I've had your darshan, I've received the most valuable jewel. So we can see that, and this is why the process, one of the reasons the process of devotional service is so amazing. This is why we see how Kashyapa is advising a deity here to practice the process of devotional service. Because even if one approaches Krishna in material desires, through the process of bhakti, those desires become purified. Just like we see with Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted a kingdom greater than the kingdom of his great-grandfather. His great-grandfather happens to be Lord Brahma. So he wanted a kingdom even greater than Lord Brahma's, and he achieved it. But he didn't want it when he achieved the darshan of Krishna. He realized, actually, this was a foolish endeavor. Why am I after some material facility? I should just be satisfied with your service. And the point is, by practicing bhakti, you become purified of all these material desires. And this is the wonder. When one practices yoga or any of these other processes, there is an external process for removing the material desires. But when we practice devotional service, it removes the desires, which then enables us to achieve the goal. Just by, you don't have to do any other process. You just simply practice the process of devotional service. And as Prabhupada is quoting this verse here, Akama savakama mokshakama dhradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta pusharam param. Whether you're full of material desires, without material desires, you're desiring liberation, by all means, tivrena bhakti yoga, with great force, practice the process of devotional service. Because you'll find what happens is all these anarthas, all these desires, the heart becomes purified. And as described by Narad Muni in Narad Pancharatra, is Sava Padi Vinir Moktan Tat Paratoina Nimalam Hrishikena Hrishikesa Sevanam Bhakti Ruchete. That by engaging the senses in the service of the proprietor of the senses, then there's different roles. Savapati, all these false designations are removed. False designations relate to the body, thinking that I'm man, I'm woman, I'm cat, I'm dog, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a child, whatever. All these upadhis, these are false designations, have become vinir muktam, you become liberated from these things, you become removed. Tat Parattvena Nirmalam. That one becomes this Nirmala. You know what Mala means? What does Mala mean? You know? All these things that come out of the body, from your nose and from your eyes and your ears, you know, all the earwax and the phlegm and all that. This is called Mala, impurity. Yeah? Nirmala means no impurity, it means spotlessly pure. Yeah? Tat Parattvena Nirmala. You become restored to your original pure identity. And this is actually the platform of devotional service. So simply by engaging our senses in the service to the proprietor of the senses, we remove all our anarthas and we become restored to our original pure identity. And in this state, then we can have this transcendental loving exchange with Krishna. Krishna is Dina Anukampana. He is very merciful to everyone. Therefore, he wants to fulfill his material. Therefore, if one wants to fulfill his material desires, Krishna helps him. Of course, sometimes if a devotee is very sincere, the Lord, as a special favor to him, refuses to fulfill his material desires and directly blesses him with pure, unalloyed devotional service. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22, 38 and 39. Krishna kahe ama bhaji magi vishaya sukha, amrita chari visha magi e bara mukha, ami vigya e muraka vishaya kena diba, swachana amrita diya vishaya bulaiba. Krishna says, if one engages in my transcendental loving service, but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he is very, very foolish. This is this word murka, e bara. Bara means like strong or big. Yeah, he's a big fool. Indeed, he is just like a person who gives up ambrosia to drink poison. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Indeed, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. If a devotee maintains some material desire and at the same time very sincerely desires to engage the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna may directly give him unalloyed devotional service and take away all his material desires and possessions. This is the Lord's special favor to devotees. Otherwise, if one takes to Krishna's devotional service but still has material desires to fulfill, he may become free from all material desires, as Dhruva Maharaj did, but this may take some time. However, if a very sincere devotee wants only Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna directly gives him the position of Shuddha Bhakti, unalloyed devotional service. So here, Prabhupada is explaining how that even though one may be initially, and we see that this also, Krishna explains in the Gita that four kinds of pious people approach him. One who's looking for material desires, one who's distressed, one who's after wealth, one who's after knowledge. You know, these different people approach Krishna. But in the end we see that even though they may approach Krishna with some material desire, they become purified of that desire through the process of bhakti. So even we see how Aditi, she's got very strong material desires. And Kashyapa, he's an intelligent man. He knows, yes, she's got strong material desires. And the only way that she's going to become purified of these desires, the only way she's going to change her heart is through the process of devotional service. Because no material process will change the heart of the living entity. You know, even though you may practice so many different so-called spiritual processes, it doesn't change the heart. And there's an interesting analogy given in the end of the fifth canto, the beginning of the sixth canto, where the whole fifth canto is talking about the various, or talks about a few things, but towards the end there it's talking about the different hellish planets and the sufferings that come as a result of our sinful activities. And then we see at the end of the sixth canto, the fifth canto, Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami how one can overcome or how one can purify themselves and not have to suffer the reactions of these sinful activities. And then Sukadeva Goswami says, Prayaschitta Vimarshana. By practicing Prayaschitta, you can overcome these things. And then it's very interesting that at the beginning of the 6th canto, Parikshit Maharaj, he says, but I consider this to be like the bathing of an elephant, Kunjara Sochara. He says, because the elephant, they go, you see them, they'll go into the water and they'll throw, they get their trunk and they throw water and they bathe very elaborately, throwing water everywhere and having a wonderful time there in the water. But then they come out and they get the dust and they throw dust all over their body. So what's the point of the bath? There's no point to it at all, because they just they throw dust all over their body, at least from the perspective of cleanliness. So Parikshit Maharaj says, I think Prayaschitta is just like the bathing mela, because you perform Prayaschitta and it does not remove the sinful desire. And that's the problem. You can perform all different types of activities to try to counteract sin. Like people might they do sinful activity, they go to confessional, they confess their sins, or they might come to a temple and they'll give some charity or something in order to counteract the reaction for their sins. But then they go out and perform sinful activities again, because the desire is still there in the heart. And so Kashyapa is seeing this with the deity. Even if I give her some instructions so her sons can become reinstated in their position, still the desire for material enjoyment is going to remain in her heart. So he wants to give her some instruction to help her overcome this material desire. And the only way to overcome the material desire is the process of devotional service, because it burns up to the root. This is what's that verse in the Brahma Samhita? It talks about how all those who walk in the path of work, by the practice of bhakti, it burns up to the root all these material. Kintu Prabhuya Priya, no, what's it? Kintu Chabhakti Bhajam. I can't remember the verse. And it describes how through the process of bhakti, it burns up to the root all these material desires. So this process of hearing and chanting enables us to remove these desires from the heart. The process of engaging in devotional service to Krishna destroys all these anarthas, all these material desires that are there in the heart, all these misgivings, these misunderstandings about who I am, and helps me to come to the platform of realizing my original constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. And this is why we see how that Kashyapa is advising a deity to take the process of devotional service, because Krishna, when he sees our sincere, and Prabhupada's making this point here, when he sees the sincere endeavor of the devotee, will enable them to become freed from all these material desires. Because only by Krishna's mercy one can remove all these material desires. It's like, we have so many different desires in this world, for all different types of things. And the only thing that will help us ultimately is the mercy of Krishna. So if we're always taking shelter of Krishna, an interesting story is one time Prabhupada, Prabhupada would talk in his classes, and one time he was saying how he could never fall down. And later on the devotees saw that Prabhupada was praying in front of the deities. So one of the devotees asked Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, what were you praying for? He says, I was praying to Krishna to protect me so that I may never fall down. And the devotees were a bit perplexed. And they say, but Prabhupada, you said before you can never fall down, but now you're saying you're praying so you don't fall down. He says, yes, I can never fall down because I'm always praying to Krishna to always protect me that I never fall down. So Prabhupada's making the point here, if we always take shelter of Krishna, we'll always be protected. And this is what Kashyapa is guiding a deity to do, to always take shelter of Krishna. Then you can become purified of all these material desires. Okay, I'll finish there. Any questions, comments at all?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you had mentioned how sometimes Krishna helps devotees by fulfilling their material desires, or sometimes gives them unalloyed bhakti, like Dhruva Maharaj, in Dhruva Maharaj's case. So, if Krishna keeps fulfilling our desires, does that mean he's not merciful to us?
If he fulfills someone's material desire, there's different ways of understanding this. If one has material desires, this is an indication they're not so serious about the process of devotional service, or they're not so advanced in devotional service. If someone's sincere in their devotional endeavor, and they have a material desire, but that material desire may take them away from Krishna, because of their sincerity, Krishna won't fulfill that desire. But if someone's a sincere devotee and has a material desire, and that material desire will not, well, it wouldn't really be a material desire, it'd be more of a spiritual desire. Because generally material desires, material life and spiritual life are incompatible. So if we have material desires, then these are not really compatible with spiritual life. And we see here that Prabhupada is quoting this verse from the Chaitanya, these two verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, how he's saying if one engages my loving service but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he's very, very foolish. He's murka and a fool. So, if we have material desires, these ultimately will be an impediment on the path of bhakti. So Krishna, out of compassion or out of mercy upon us, won't fulfill those desires. But if we find our material desires are being fulfilled, this could be an indication that we're not so serious on the path of bhakti. So if you find your material desires are all being fulfilled, maybe you need to look at how serious am I? Because when we're serious, we don't have material desires. Yeah? Yes? I think... Microphone.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, can we say non-material desire is bhakti type?
Sorry?
Non-material desire is bhakti. See, bhakti is also a type of desire. At the back of your mind, when you do bhakti, you have something in your mind, right?
Sorry? I'm not following your point.
Bhakti is also a type of desire. You have something in your mind.
Yeah. So the question?
Question is, non-material desire is bhakti?
I guess it depends on how you define a non-material desire. But desire to serve Krishna is bhakti. See, the essential point in bhakti is Krishna. The jiva connecting with Krishna. This is bhakti. The jiva serving Krishna. This is bhakti. Just saying non-material, you have to make sure Krishna is there in the middle of it, because that's bhakti, is this desire, this aspiration to serve Krishna. Desire is going to be there. The living entity cannot be devoid of desire. So either we desire to serve Krishna, or we desire to serve Maya. There's two basic kind of desires. The desire to serve Krishna is bhakti. The desire to serve Maya is illusion. Pretty simple.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thanks for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, it mentions
pretty random. I wasn't prepared for it.
Prabhuji, it mentioned in the translation that Lord favors the poor. Also in the translation, in the purport, it says Krishna, when he especially favors someone, he takes away all material desire and possessions. So, like losing all possession, because it is mentioned at several times in Bhagavatam. I think once Brahmaji also mentioned in Bhagavatam. So, is it a necessary prerequisite that you are ripped of all material possessions before you can perform unalloyed bhakti? Is it part of purification?
Well, it really depends on the nature of the living entity, because we see, for instance, Pundarik Vidyanidhi. He had great opulence, but he was a great devotee. He wasn't attached to his opulence. Prataparudra Maharaj, he saw his opulence as an obstacle to his path of bhakti. Generally, these are great personalities. Generally, you'll find for ourselves that opulence is an obstacle. Because, especially if we have, as I was saying earlier on, if we have aspiration for fame, if we have aspiration for wealth, these get in the way of our devotional service. So the idea is we just want to serve Krishna. And if we can cultivate that consciousness that all I want in my life is to serve Krishna, then whatever wealth comes, we just use that in Krishna's service. Whatever opulence comes, just use that in Krishna's service. Then it's not an obstacle. As long as whatever you have, you're using it for Krishna's pleasure. Whether you have a little, whether you have a lot, then that's fine. But generally, you find what happens is when people have fame, they have wealth, it's an obstacle. Although we do see, I was in London recently, and I met this devotee there. He's quite famous. He's I don't know the name of the show, but there's a big TV show there in London. It's the most popular TV show right now, and he's one of the main actors. And so he got a BAFTA award, which is kind of like a big television award there, and he was how they all thank this one, thank that one, and so he gets up there and he thanks Krishna. So he didn't directly say Krishna, but he's saying that person who's within all of us, if it wasn't for him. And he said person, he didn't say energy or anything, he was very direct, he said that person. And he said if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So he's using his fame to glorify Krishna. And so if you have some material facility, understand where it comes from. And this is the point Prabhupada would often make about the scientists. Is like, whether their theories are right or wrong, why do they deny Krishna? That's the problem, they deny Krishna. So whatever facility you have, if you use it for the glorification of Krishna, it won't become an anartha, it won't become an obstacle on the path of bhakti. But if some material facility is an obstacle, then get rid of it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi.